Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be a drugstore foundation ranking. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. If you're into eyeshadow palettes, essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of your makeup the way that I am, then definitely stay tuned because today I'm coming to you with a roundup of 10 drugstore foundations that I have tried in recent months. This is something that I already announced in the summertime, and it just took some time to get through all of these different foundations and try them all out for you. I did put all of these in Shop My Stashes, so there are full reviews up over on the blog, including swatches, what the shade match is like for me, as well as the coverage. So I'll make sure to link all of those blog posts in the description box down below. So if you want to see these more in depth, then you definitely can. Today, we're just ranking these from my least favorite to my most favorite one, and I have some honorable mentions as well. And in case you're new here, it may be good to know that I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, which greatly skews my makeup preferences, especially when it comes to drugstore foundations, as we will find out later today. And because I have been buying, trying, and reviewing makeup for more than a decade, I also have some very strong opinions, so I hope you're here for the ride. So please join the Snow Angel Club by clicking the subscribe button down below. 10 foundations that I'm going to be ranking for you, but I mentioned that I also have some honorable mentions, and that's because I repurchased one foundation for the review that I had already tried in the past, so it wasn't new to me. I just bought a different shade hoping it would be better, but it's a foundation that I do really like. But then in recent months, I did also purchase a couple of newer drugstore foundations, and I was like, you know what? Some of these were successful for me, some of them weren't. They aren't part of the original lineup of 10 that I was going to be trying out and ranking for you, but I did try these out. One of them I still need to review, but I do have other content up, so if you want to see these going on, then I do have videos as well, so those will also be linked in the description box down below. So what am I talking about here? One of the things I purchased for this video is a Bourjois Healthy Mix Foundation. This is an OG favorite foundation for many people, I think. This was very much raved about 6-7 years ago, and this is my third bottle of this. They reformulated in between. I had the old version, which I then compared to the newer version that was then launched. And then as I was doing the research for this video to try and find drugstore foundations that I wanted to just test out, I found that online this came in shades that I had never heard of. So that's why I picked up one of the other lightest shades, which was in Rose Ivory number 50. And this is now, I think, the lightest shade that they do. It's still not pinky enough, but it's definitely better than shade Ivory. That used to be the lightest shade available in this foundation. It's still a bit too yellow, but I think in my declutter, I decided I was going to get rid of it. But I do think I want to put this back into my makeup collection because it is just such a good foundation. I don't necessarily need it per se though, so that's why I decluttered it when I film my declutter. But this is a really good foundation if you can find your shade match. The Bourjois Healthy Mix is still a really good one till this day. Another honorable mention is new from Catrice. This is their Nude Drop Tinted Serum Foundation. This was launched for spring-summer 2023. So when I purchased all of the other foundations for this video, this wasn't even out yet because I bought all of them over the summertime. And like the fall season, like I asked some people for recommendations as well, but then Catrice launched this, and this could very well be one of my favorite all-time drugstore foundations by now. This isn't even in the lightest shade. It's in 004N. The undertone is right for me. I think this is very glowy, and it's just a really good foundation for me. I have dry skin that's quite dehydrated and sensitive, which is another reason why some of the foundations we'll be talking about today weren't exactly perfect for me. But this one works, so I know I want to keep this around. And I just wanted to give it a mention here because I did review it over on the blog and didn't really put it in a Shop My Stash yet, but I did film a first impression with all of those new Catrice bits, and I just thought I could give it a shout out here saying how much I love this because it is a drugstore foundation video after all. But it wasn't out yet when I bought the other one. And then another thing that I loved a lot more than I thought I was going to is the Kiko Nourishing Perfection Cream Compact Foundation in shade CR15. So this is a compact foundation and then it has a cream inside. And this looks really dark. And I thought it wasn't going to work. But then I tried this for a full face of Kiko, I think in December, and I loved it. It really was great for my dry winter skin. The shade was really good. I haven't tried this though beyond that foundation, like that full face of Kiko video that I did. So this still needs to go into a Shop My Stash, which I'm planning to do for April actually, and then give it a full review. But my first impression of this was really, really good, and I don't have a Kiko foundation in this roundup, so I thought, you know, it's going to be a while before I can talk about like 10 drugstore foundations again. So again, just one I wanted to give a shout out. And another thing I have to give a shout out, but not because I love it like the other ones, but because I didn't like it at all, is the Makeup Revolution Super Dewy Skin Tint. So this I bought to film a full face of Makeup Revolution with after not having tried much, if anything at all, from Makeup Revolution in the past 2 years. And I bought this thinking, hey, it's a skin tint. I love trying skin tints. It will be great to find some at a more affordable price point. So I thought maybe I can do something with this. And then I put it on my face. You're gonna see the video very, very soon if it's not up already. And you will just see that this was not good. You're just gonna have to wait and see the full face to know what I'm talking about. But this is not a skin tint, and it was not good for my dry skin. So this one, I had to give a not so honorable mention, but then you know that I was trying this as well. I think I still want to keep this around for like a skin tint video, because that's something I may want to do in like the second half of the year. Because I did purchase a couple of other skin tints that I still want to try. And then I can hopefully put it in that comparison, like do a ranking of some skin tints. They call this a skin tint, but I don't feel it's a skin tint at all. So let me get to the actual ranking. This is what we're here for. In place number 10, I have to rank the EX1 Invisiwear Liquid Foundation. Now I'm gonna have to say that actually most of these foundations, the formulas were really, really good. Like in terms of wear time and the way this looked on my skin, there were no issues there for any of these. So the main reason why this is ranked in the number 10 spot is because the shade is very, very wrong. I have had suggestions in the past from people, you know, hearing me complain about not being able to find my shade. Maybe you're an olive. I'm not an olive tone, and now I know for sure, because what I didn't know going into this was that this brand is catering to olive undertones in their entire foundation range. This is available from Superdrug in the UK, and there I saw this giant display where it says, for olive undertones or something along those lines. But I had to go and pretty much buy all of these online because none of this is available in my country as like in a store. So I wasn't able to test these out, try them out. It was basically just a hunt to see if I were to try some brands that I didn't know, will I love it? And like I mentioned, this is a good foundation. It worked really well on my dry skin, but the undertone just made me look ill. This is one that I actually didn't do a dedicated review for, so I'll make sure to pop some of the pictures I took of this in this video right now, because this is just not something I can possibly get away with, because it looks green when I put this on. It was in the shade, what shade was this in? I think it was shade 2, yes, shade 2, which in terms of depth works really well for me, but because the undertone is such a green undertone, it doesn't work. And then, sadly, in the number 9 spot, I had to post this, the Rimmel Kind and Free Moisturizing Skin Tint Foundation. Again, a drugstore foundation that they call a skin tint, but that definitely is not. This is far too much coverage for a skin tint. And it's okay, like I like the texture very much for my skin and what it does, but I bought this in the lightest shade available to me, which is 10 Rose Ivory. Maybe if you're in a different country, there may be other shades that you can find, but I'm in the Netherlands, and very often not everything is available to us. I did pick this up online because I believe this wasn't, like when I bought this wasn't even in stores over here. And it's just far too dark. This makes me look orange. It's Oompa Loompa level orange, which is just not great. And it's therefore not my favorite. Was it a pleasant texture to wear? Yes, but I did find that this was a bit heavy on the skin, which is why I feel that the name skin tint of this was just a complete misnomer, just to, you know, a name that was slapped on it to ride the trend wave rather than it actually being a skin tint. So that's another reason why I had to rank this in the number 9 spot. Number 8 is currently in my Shop My Stash for March, and it's the Eveline Cosmetics Better Than Perfect Moisturizing and Covering Foundation. This is in shade 01 Ivory, and there are going to be a couple of other Eveline Cosmetics foundations in today's roundup. This was okay, but it was my least favorite one of the Eveline Cosmetics foundations that I tried. And the reason for it is that it again feels quite heavy on the skin. It doesn't look weird though. It doesn't have any sort of like accentuation of dry lines or texture or anything like that. It wears well throughout the day, and it just, I don't like the feel of this on my skin, especially after a full day of wear. This feels like makeup. And if that's something you don't mind having, then this can be nice. The shade of this is actually pretty good as well. It may actually be a touch on the light side for me, which is rare, especially with drugstore foundations. But yeah, this is a good formula for sure. And if this is your favorite foundation, then I'm sure you're gonna love it. I have nothing against the foundation itself, but I'm ranking it in the number 8 spot because it just wasn't my favorite. So in case you're unfamiliar with Eveline Cosmetics, that may be because they are a Polish drugstore brand. I bought all of these foundations, save for like the honorable mentions, from Notino and Lyko or Lyko. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. They are EU-based websites that tend to be available in quite a few countries. Some of them even ship internationally, so even if you're in the US, you might be able to try these. But that's where I found these. Eveline Cosmetics, the Tea Tree Mattifying Protective Antibacterial Foundation. This is ranked higher than the Better Than Perfect, even though on paper, the Better Than Perfect sounds like it's going to work for me a lot better. I really like this. I'm normally not a mattifying foundation kind of gal. I bought it in the shade Porcelain, which was a really good shade match for me. And the texture of this is really, really pleasant. I just don't like the scent. And it's that very strong tea tree kind of scent, which, you know, if I'm wearing, you know, I could have expected that being called, you know, the tea tree foundation. I mean, I could have expected that, but overall, I just didn't like this, what it did for my face. I mean, again, formula-wise, this was fine. It just wasn't outstanding. Like, the outstanding ones are going to be in the top 5 for sure. So this was good if you have the need for a lot of tea tree in your foundation product. This may be good. Maybe if you have acne, this may be a really, really good one to try. And for a mattifying foundation, like I said, I didn't find this drying at all. And that is incredibly rare to find. So this is why I still rate this foundation pretty highly. And that's why I ranked it higher than, for instance, the Rimmel and the other one from Eveline Cosmetics, but it's just not my favorite because of the scent. Number 6 is by Lumine, which is a Finnish makeup brand. This, I believe, I found on Lyko. This is their Blur 16-hour long wear foundation. This is in shade 0 Light Ivory. And Lumine is a brand that seems to have quite a lot of like products, at least from what I've been able to find online, where it's like more like skincare properties in their foundations and stuff. I don't know this brand a lot. Some of you then send me recommendations like, you can buy this from their international website. I'm like, I've tried a couple of products now. I'm happy with what I have, but it's not as if I'm gonna try a full face of Lumine anytime soon. I did really like the foundations that I tried. The Blur, however, wasn't that memorable. In fact, I don't exactly remember how I felt about this, other than that I liked it. and that the shade was pretty good for me, that I didn't find this heavy. And again, for a foundation that's called blurring, like with the Eveline Cosmetics one that we just talked about, this wasn't dry and cakey at all, whereas a lot of blurring, mattifying foundations that I've tried in the past would just suck the life out of my makeup and just look super cakey and dry, especially after a few hours of wear. This never did it. It comes in a really helpful, like handy tube as well, which I appreciate. But it's just a little bit too much coverage. It's like out of coverage. On the back it says that it gets 4 out of 5 stars, which is probably why this just wasn't my favorite. I just prefer something a bit more lightweight with less coverage. Getting into the top 5 then, and the top 5 is kicked off with my favorite foundation from Eveline Cosmetics that I tried, the Wonder Match. This is apparently now also available in Poland in a illuminating version. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I believe that's what some of you have told me in the comments. I just got this in a very wrong shade for me. This is 16 Light Beige. This is a foundation that originally didn't come in too many shades, and then they expanded the shade range. And this was one of those expanded shades, and it seemed like in terms of how light it is, it works really well. But undertone-wise, I just found it a little bit too yellow for me, which is why it wasn't perfect. But I remember when I had this in my Shop My Stash, it was like the only foundation I wanted to wear for that month. So that shows me that I love this formula a lot. I already mentioned how there was nothing wrong with any of the formulas here, but this is definitely one that really stands out to me as a really good formula. And part of me wants to try the illuminating foundation, but I have a bunch of BB creams to try this year. I have bought a couple of those skin tints that I already mentioned. So this year I'm just going to follow up with a BB cream video and a skin tint video. And then maybe next year, 2024, I might be able to test out some more drugstore foundations for you guys. But yeah, I'm only one person. And if you saw my recent foundation declutter, then you have seen how much I got rid of. And I just don't want to do that again to myself. I mean, most of these I will not be able to put into my makeup collection because they weren't perfect, and I don't just want to, buy things and then get rid of them the next year. That's not how I want to live my life. So this was good. It was lovely, but it's not one I'm going to keep around, sadly. Another thing I cannot keep around is the number 4, which is the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator. I wish I could get this in a lighter shade. This is in the shade Fair, which apparently is not the lightest shade available, but it was the lightest shade I could find. So do with that what you wish. It's far too dark for me. That's the only reason why this is not going to stay around in my makeup collection, because I did really enjoy the formula of this. This is where I wanted like a skin tint to kind of go. It's still perhaps a little bit too much coverage for a true skin tint. But yeah, this was a very nice lightweight finish. It is a bit more buildable as well, but like I said, I don't personally feel I need that sort of coverage. So it was a bit more coverage than what I would want to go for. And this was just a really lovely foundation. This was one I bought off of your recommendations. People were saying, oh, if you're doing this drugstore foundation trial thing, see if you can find the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator because it's really good. And this took me a couple of months to actually be able to source as well, because it was out of stock everywhere I could buy it from for quite some time, only to find out that there's supposedly even a lighter shade, which I cannot buy. So this was good. It's a good foundation for sure, if you can find your shade, and for me, that just wasn't the case. Number 3, L'Oreal, the True Match Nude Plumping Tinted Serum, in the shade 0.5 to 2 Very Light. Another foundation that you recommended I try when I asked, are there any other drugstore foundations you would like to see me try? And it was this one. And it's a good foundation. This is getting into that like skin tint territory that I prefer. This is lovely. This is really, really good texture-wise. But there are 2 reasons why I don't think this is my favorite and why I ended up decluttering this in my most recent foundation declutter. The packaging and the shade. I sound like a broken record, but that's definitely the case here. This is so messy because of that dropper. It just goes everywhere every single time you close it. And I was wiping this thing down continuously while I was using it. Like, see, there's already, like, every single time you put it back in, there is just so much product on the dropper, and then it spills over, and it's such a messy product to use. This is the lightest shade available, and it oxidizes into about a shade darker on my skin than what it actually looks like in the bottle. So it looks really good for me in the bottle. Like, it actually almost looks too pale, but I always match it to my neck, and my neck is a lot paler than my face is. And this it just oxidizes, and it looks a little bit too orange and a little bit too dark after about 30 minutes of putting this on. And like I said, it's the lightest shade available, so. And this also, by the way, wasn't for sale at my local drugstore. I was able to find it, and I had to buy it online because that was the only place where I could buy it. Plus, this is super expensive. This retails for 25 euros over here. So I also got it online to get it at a cheaper price point. I think I ended up paying around 17 euros for it on Notino, which was a much better deal. Then we're moving into what I've got on my face today, and it's almost like I saved the best for last because the favorite ones that I ended up rating the highest are some that I've only tried in recent months. So the Bourjois Healthy Mix Tinted Beautifier Radiant Glow in the shade Fair is what is actually on my face right now. It is in my March Shop My Stash, and this was nice. So now I'm thinking, this is why in my foundation declutter, I decided to keep this and put it in the skin tint video later in the year rather than the original Healthy Mix foundation. That's the decision I took. The only reason why this isn't the winner is because it has a citrus scent, which I don't love. It does disappear really, really quickly. Like, the minute you put it on your skin, you smell it and it's gone. So it doesn't linger, which is okay with me. But this shade is just really lovely. It doesn't look streaky. It doesn't look cakey. It wears really well throughout the day. This is just such a lovely skin tint, like from the drugstore, that I'm like, yes, I did really like this, and this would be definitely a recommendation if you, again, can find your shade, because I believe there's only like four shades in this line. But the winner, and if you see my foundation collection or my foundation declutter, you will know that I fell in love with the Luminée Natural Glow Fluid Foundation. This is in the shade Light, perfect shade match, and it has the dewiest texture. It's not really a skin tint, but it is very light coverage foundation, which is what I prefer. It says here that it's radiance enhancing, buildable coverage, and suitable for all skin types with an SPF of 20. And I just fell in love. The only thing I don't love is that this little cap is needed, because if you leave it open like this, there's always just a little bit of product that tends to come out and then spill out of it, which is the only gripe here, but it is still pretty hygienic packaging with the pump. And I just really like the effect that this gives on the skin, which is why this one wins. It's a perfect shade match. One of you left a comment saying that Luminée now does an actual skin tint, but this works for me just fine. I don't need to try anything else from the drugstore for some time to come. So those are the 10 foundations that I wanted to show you in today's video, that I wanted to rank, including some honorable and not so honorable mentions. I already mentioned that all of these have been reviewed on the blog, so if you feel disappointed that I didn't show any pictures in this video, just go over to the blog, please. Foundation swatches on the back of a hand are not going to be useful for you, and I know some people would like to see comparisons, but I don't know about you, but in terms of like foundation textures, comparing them and like seeing them like swatched out like all 10 in a row is just not going to be helpful information, precisely also because a lot of the shades here do not look right on me. So I would like to encourage you to please go to the different reviews that I already have up with these, because there I have all the useful information that you need for all of these. In terms of comparing foundation textures, a swatch is just not going to give you the information. It has to be applied to the face in order to really see and like, you know, wear it for an entire day to really be able to tell what the foundation texture and formula is actually like. A swatch is just not helpful, people. So please don't have unrealistic expectations of what you can actually see in a video. Just putting it out there. So yes, thank you so very much for being here. Thumbs up the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make several videos every single week, so if you'd like to stay tuned for more, and then I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye!